Hello acceLARAtion Nation, it is Laramoto here, and today I'm at Derby Kawasaki about to go out on the 200 brake horsepower Kawasaki ZH2. I'm quite excited, it has a supercharger. So if you are new here, why not subscribe to my rise? Just click on that subscribe button and ring that bell, and if you like the video, give it a like, and why not share any comments you have about the video so far. So yeah, can't wait to ride it. Never ridden a bike with a supercharger before, so I hope you enjoy the review. I'll see you in a bit. Well, you know when you think you know speed and then you sit on a supercharged 1000cc inline 4, yeah, then you know speed. For me at least. So I've ridden a bike with 200 brake horsepower before. I was lucky enough to race a DUCATI 1198 with night road racing, and that was a 200 brake horsepower thump of an absolute machine. It was brilliant, and it scared me a lot, to be honest. I'd use a lot more expletives if I wasn't on camera, but it scared me. The traction control was intermittent. Alan did his best to get it sorted, but it was, you got teleported from corner to corner and it just blew your mind. Now I sit on this, you know, with a bit of trepidation, a little bit worried about having 200 brake. Like, my car's got probably 350 at the rear wheel, and to have that much at the throttle at your disposal, it's a lot. But I got on it, and it felt like, as I moved out of the kind of the urban area around where Derby Kawasaki is, and it just felt like a really happy, smooth, almost silky, happy 4. It didn't feel like I was on 200 brake. And then got a little bit of open road, you know, slightly higher speed limit, and just opened the throttle a bit. And by a bit, I mean like barely a quarter turn. And then my world got a lot faster and everything started shooting past me, and I was like, right, and that's just a quarter turn, what the hell is this thing like on full taps, fully open? And I got a bit of a chance to do that, and like the world moves under your feet and you can't take the information in, and it is rapid. So rapid. Now, I said that about the MT10. This has got 200 brake horsepower, the MT10 has got 160, and yeah, I thought that was fast. This is fast with the capital F. It's fast, but it's in such a clever package, such a really comfortable package, that I'm actually really impressed with getting on it. I've always been a twin girl and never really been that excited about an inline 4, but wow, it blows your mind. It sounds brilliant with this Scorpion tailpipe on the back. And it just it's just gleaming. I just can't get over how rapid it gets though, and I'm a bit undecided of how safely you can use that speed and that getaway when you're on the road. And it would destroy superbikes on the track, obviously, compared to its the H2, obviously the sport variant. You'd have a battle with that, but just being able to throw it around, if you're a good super naked rider, you'd leave things for dead and be really comfortable doing it. Yeah, so my first bike, supercharged bike, and I've never really looked twice at Kawasaki's, and now I'm looking twice at a Kawasaki, maybe a bit more, because it's an absolute corker. It really is. Now, what I did enjoy, which was a bit of a novelty to me, and it felt like I was in like a MotoGP start of a race, or back to my racing days. Again, videos available should you be interested. Was the launch control. So mode button and select button brings up Kawasaki launch control mode on the TFT screen. And essentially you fully open the throttle and it blips it about 6.5 grand, like bap, 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 bap. And then you let the clutch out as quickly as you're happy to, and you just take off basically. In sport mode, the front wheel just picks and hovers just off the floor, and you glide away, and then you rapidly close in on whatever's in front of you. It's a great laugh, and if you want to just have a bit of fun at the lights, or just racing with your mates, like, it's just great having that feature there. And I feel like I want all my bikes to have that, because it was just it was just really fun. So I'm riding one of the, I put my hand in goose poo, my bad. Yeah, I am sat in a lot of goose poo. Anyway, it was worth it for the pictures. So I'm riding the red variant of the ZH2. It's metallic Diablo black, I think. No, metallic matte carbon grey and metallic flat spark black. I don't know what they mean. Essentially, they have a green frame or a red frame. And I think I quite like the green frame because Kawasaki, and you should have a green one. But the actual frame, this trellis design, is really nice. Used to looking at the side of the Monster or the DUCATI Supersport, but I actually quite like the trellis frame that Kawasaki have put together here. It really complements the bike really well. One thing to be aware of is the cost of the insurance. There are plenty of insurers that will insure you on this bike, but maybe a little bit more of a price because of the word supercharged in the bike's title. Just something to be aware of. Here are a few ways of how you can slip in the word supercharger in light conversation. I don't know if you know this, but I have a motorbike that has a supercharger. My motorbike has a supercharger. Not sure if I mentioned this, but the bike is supercharged. It's supercharged. Have you heard my supercharger? Would you like to have a go at riding my supercharger? Because supercharger. Also, it has a supercharger. I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of my supercharger. Anyway, moving on. So, a couple of specs. The ZH2 has a wheelbase of 1.45 meters. It has a weight of 240 kilograms. Now, that's not the heaviest bike I've ridden. The Yamaha Nikon was 263 kilograms and the MT10 was 210. But like most bikes, once you're moving, you don't feel the weight, and it had great kind of throw around and flickability around the corner, so it was quite good fun. It has a 19-litre tank, so if you want to take it touring, it's ready to go. In terms of torque, this has 101 foot-pounds of torque at 8.5 grand, and as a rough comparison, the Yamaha MT10 had 82 foot-pounds of torque at 9,000 revs. So a reasonable difference. More goose poo. So let's have a better look at the styling. I thought this front camera angle really brings out the features from the front. So Kawasaki have gone for a minimalist design concept, and they are trying to achieve a dynamic crouching form straight off their website, a predator poised to attack, and that's what they've tried to get across with this. It's a chunky front, it's not to everyone's liking, it's hard to do stuff when you don't have that much fairing to play with, compared to the MT10 where there was a lot of plastic on plastic on plastic. This one's much less bumblebee and much more pointed and aggressive. I guess the really sexy bit is the fact that it has that ram air intake. I don't know if you can see that on the left hand side. I'll do a few shots of that one. And then the special bit, which is the logo given to motorbikes with superchargers, is I think the Kawasaki River emblem, which has pride of place right on the front. So yeah, different opinions on the front of the bike. but couldn't give a damn about the front of the bike when it does that with the engine. It's mental. So it's quite an exclusive club to have a bike with a supercharger. You can hear it. I was hoping for more of a wind-up whine when you're on the gas, but you can actually hear it spooling down more so. This cracking little whistle, just reminding you that you're sat on this forced induction engine. Yeah, it brings a little smile. I had a Smart Roadster which had a turbo, which you could hear that on the wind down, and it's just something a bit special really when you've got that under the bonnet or within the frame. So why bother with a supercharger? Well, essentially it is forced induction, so it takes the ram air. So we've got this lovely little duct here on the left hand side of the bike. That air is pushed through and then spooled up and compressed, and therefore it's a higher pressure, so it's forced into the engine, which is going to give you more power. Superchargers and sometimes are better than turbos. You get turbo lag, but with a supercharger it's instantaneous linear power. So there's a small weight penalty to make for it, but you get what, 40 more brake horsepower out of it off a litre engine really, so it's there. And then I think there's more mapping you can do with this, and you can free a few things up and take more interference out of the exhaust, so there's probably quite a lot more speed you can get out of this thing. On the Kawasaki website there's quite a cool interactive picture that you can toggle with, which shows you the bike fully fed versus the bike with the tank removed, and so you can see the actual the ducting, how it starts with the ram air system, takes it through to the centre of the bike, and then kind of ducts it into the supercharger assembly. It looks quite cool. It's almost worth taking the tank off to have a bit of a nosy, but I didn't think Kawasaki would appreciate that. But it's worth having a look on the website just so you can see the internal design. Like most modern bikes, it comes with a lot of posh bits, assist and slipper clutch being one of them. Really light, really easy to use, so no complaints there. Kawasaki quick shift, the 3 different rider modes, rain, road and sport, and they have their associated kind of anti-wheelie systems in place as well. LEDs everywhere, so nice and efficient, nice and bright. Electronic cruise control, which I did use actually, quite useful for speed limits, you know, because you just got to keep an eye on that throttle twist. And oh, there were on the website there were loads of acronyms. I'll read them. KTRC, KCMF, KIBS, IMU. I got lost with all of that, and I was actually a bit worried when I read all that online and how it would look on the TFT screen, but it was actually really, really simple. And yes, I'm happy the electronics are there. Didn't research them into too much, but it just made the bike extremely rideable, which is why I felt so happy when I was getting on it for the first time and feeling comfortable with 200 brake. The TFT is mint, really easy to read gears, revs and speed, and it has this like centre of gravity dial, which is quite fun. And you can customise what you see, so the boost option is great because you see how much the supercharger is working, but the best bit is the lean angle record, so it shows you how far you try to lean over, not saying that's a target or anything. And then finally the Kawasaki Rideology app, which looks like you can customise your bike settings through Bluetooth, so absolutely mint. And here's a great example of a car completely chinning off the red light. Enjoy. I've been completely blown away by this bike. Like I said before, I'm a twin girl. I don't get that excited about inline fours, but when they teleport you from point to point like this in such a friendly package, what's not to like, really? It has a supercharger. I mean, that is so sexy. Like, if I ever got slightly bored of my V8 at home, it's begging for being supercharged. You get that whine, but you hear the rundown, and it just reminds you that you've got that extra forced induction in the engine. I thought the MT10 was fast. This just doesn't compare. As a package, she's a bit bigger, still just as flickable, still just as fun. And because there is no fairing, you're going to maybe control yourself a bit more with top speed. To really kind of use all of this engine, it's got to be taken to the track. it's just madness to think that you can really explore 200 brake on the road. But that said, you can use a fair bit of it with how it delivers it to you in terms of throttle control. So it's a good all-rounder. But I don't know, I'm a big believer in being able to use all the power of my machine without really having spare. And so I'd be curious to know how people really use the most of it, unless they like spend their whole time on the back wheel. I've got to hand it back to Derby Kawasaki now, and I'm really looking forward to taking it home. I'm going to have another go at that launch control because it's just fun, and I'm going to moderate the teleporting because I'm not sure where it's safe to do it, and I am going to give it back to Kawasaki, but I'm going to go back to Kawasaki with definitely a new perspective on how a well-packaged 200 brake horsepower bike can feel and how it can perform. I'd want to tour on this, I'd want to take it places, and if you're ever caught in a little inline battle with one of your mates, you just leave them for dead. And that's a great thing, just to be able to get your leg over. So all in all, really, really impressed with this whole Kawasaki package, and I'm going to miss not having a supercharger on the way home. Did I mention it was supercharged? So, as always, thank you very much for watching. If you have any feedback, just leave a comment below. Give it a like if you think it deserves it. And yeah, I'm really grateful for you watching and subscribing to my channel. I hope you're all doing well amidst all this COVID chaos and you've been managing to get out where you can. Take care and see you in a bit.